But it's faster.
It's not gonna be tomorrow,
that.
it's Wednesday.
No,
I
no.
mean, we're opening up the outdoor pool.
Yeah. Ugh,
That's sad.
tis. Good?
Good.
All right, start with the roll call. You want to start us off, Mike?
Mike Coppell, member.
Rich Rita ex officio.
Wendy Rathke, member.
John Racine, member.
Bill Spence, member.
Nancy? Almost.
Can't hear you, Nancy.
Okay.
Unmute yourself.
She's working on it. These new fancy computers.
We have a Jeff and a Mary Copeland looking to join.
Let her
Okay,
join.
good. We have public.
Okay, Nancy Knight, member.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much.
Loud and clear.
So we are meeting this evening for a minor site plan review put in by the Waterville Valley Golf Court Clubhouse regarding a covered outdoor patio. So we'll call the public hearing to order. And we have received the plan for this patio.
Madam Chair, yes, I am in a butter. I received a butter letter, so I will recuse myself from this discussion and vote.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. So our first order of business is to make sure that the application is complete. It's perhaps not quite in the same format as what a typical site plan would have in terms of the forms, but I believe all of the information is present. The only thing, and these are minor, and I'm willing, I think this should be fine to overlook them. I didn't see, perhaps somebody else did, arrow with the north and the setbacks, but I'm sure once you get the as-built, those will be on there.
Yes, duly noted. Yeah, I
so-
saw the same thing. And there's also, there's one of the drawings where the view arrows, it's irrelevant, but the view isn't there.
Ah.
But everything else is here, and if you want to see the view, it's on another page.
Yeah, it's.
It's all there.
Yeah, and as we had talked about it last time, but just to recap, we did decide it would be a minor site plan review. We basically have in our site plan, the ability to make this judgment. Get to the right section, there we go.
The regulations.
Yes. Basically, what kind of struck my eye was we have the additional or increased outdoor use areas of no more than 500 square feet, such as for dining or recreation, including decks or patios.
Mhm.
And that falls under our minor site plan review, which is section 4, part B, letter D.
When this comes down to 440s,
Yeah.
all is good with the world.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other comments from the board on whether or not, when we can entertain a motion, we can accept this application as complete for a minor site plan?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay,
I move that the plan be accepted as complete
okay,
Yeah, for a minor site,
for a minor site plan review.
I second that motion.
alrighty, all in favor?
Mike Coppell, aye.
Wendy Rathgeber, aye.
John Racine, aye.
Bill Spence, aye.
Nancy Knight, aye.
Okay,
If you don't care about it.
so now we can open the public hearing. Hey, Craig. Perfect timing. We had,
No questions?
well, we've just barely started to, we accepted it as complete, so we're opening the
Oh.
public hearing section of the meeting.
Yeah.
I know we heard extensively from Craig at our previous regular planning board meeting, but if anyone had any questions, or we have some public in attendance, if anyone in the public would like to speak in favor, against, have any questions, this would be a good time to do so. And since we're such a small Zoom group, for the folks who are here, who are public, you can just raise your hand, chime right up. We'll see and hear you easily.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Even a dumb question? Come on.
Nothing.
The appropriate as you.
No, that's okay.
All right, peanut gallery. All right. Does the board have any clarifying questions?
The biggest question that I have is, once again, on sheet A2. And we talked about this. Where it says cross angle rectangle represents window openings, the same as the main dining room. And as I think that I indicated, I have an issue, I think you said you don't have an issue with making sure that there are no windows there.
Right, I'm not proposing,
Oh, yeah, just so everyone can hear you.
I'm not proposing windows at this time or any time, I think, to be honest with you. Is when you frame something, it would be nice to frame it correctly.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's all that. Now, he's an architect that worked with me in the past. He's just looking 10 years down the road or whatever. You know, it's one of those things that you just, if you're gonna build it correctly. And but we're not proposing any windows. I don't see us ever doing that. There's a couple of other issues that come into play when you get into that, if you put windows in there. One of the things I was trying to stay out of is, and we're just really trying to accommodate the business that we already have. We're not trying to add any business. If you put a 4-wall structure in there, I think it would trigger a sprinkler deal. So
I agree.
certainly don't want to trigger the sprinkler deal or get into a more complicated construction project.
Okay.
And that's really what, if you did put windows in there at some point, that's what would happen.
Okay, so at
And
this,
so I don't see in my lifetime windows going in there.
so at this point, you're looking for approval with no windows being in.
I'm looking for approval with what I propose, I put on the application.
Okay,
Then we'll get into the other stuff
yeah,
later.
yep.
But that's, to be honest with you. I mean, if I was smart, I should have widened it out. And you would have never known.
Well, we hopefully would have asked.
Right,
I would have.
Wait,
I know. But anyway, that's the deal.
Okay.
great.
I'm just saying that, you know, we mentioned it
Yes,
and
Yes.
I know,
if somebody looked at it quickly, you would think I was gonna put windows in there next week.
right, it would indicate that.
Right.
Okay.
And all it really saying is that if you're gonna build it somewhat correctly.
Makes sense.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, the only other thing I should recap, Craig, when we were talking about accepting this as complete, there were a couple minor things that we noticed weren't there, but felt comfortable anyway. Especially since we assume there will be in your as-built when you submit that. So, the main thing was showing the setback.
We can do that. It's just, it's not really considered under the, a real structure. It's a roof, porch roof is what it is. I mean, it can be, but it's on the roadside.
Yeah, and we're all familiar enough with it to know that
Right.
it's with it, that
It's
it's
this-
fine.
There's
But
sections of the property where we abut residential. And that's where the, setbacks are more important, I think.
But when you submit your as-built, or you're planning to submit an as-built, I assume. as
Not
part
a
of the-
surveyed in as well, because we're really not changing the footprint of the building. I didn't, that's an extra couple of grand. We're not changing the footprint of the building.
Okay, but you submitted an as-built for your porch, the new deck for the summer, right?
Yes, because that was different. That was a new addition, I guess, or a new footprint addition. We're not increasing the footprint of the property of the building. We're replacing tables and chairs that have umbrellas with tables and chairs that have a porch roof.
Right, but in the sense that you're building a deck just
Not-
like you built a deck over
Yeah, but
on
we're,
this side,
that
you're
was,
building a deck here, so.
I could do it, but it's just an added expense that I don't think is all that necessary because it's bordered on Valley Road. If it was bordering up on Moose Run or something like that, I can actually see it. When we did the bar, we did the as-built, because wanted to make sure we stayed away from property lines. And we actually staked the property lines at that point.
Well, how does the rest of the board feel about seeing an as-built once this is finished?
I mean, if you look at the certified plot plans that we have on record,
I hear you.
you'll see it's the whole building's, 75 feet away from the road.
Yeah, I hear you. It was just part of the checklist
And
for
on
what, it
Yeah,
was just part
but
of
I'd
the,
ask for a waiver, I guess.
okay. It was part of the checklist.
I think that's the
for
way to
what-
get around it.
Yeah, I'm asking for a waiver.
Okay,
If I thought it was important, when we did the bar addition there, we found out that the building actually crossed the property lines, and that's when we merged the two lots together,
mhm,
which I thought was pretty unusual, and at that time, that's where an as-built actually picked something up.
okay.
You know what I
So
mean?
let me ask the board, how do we feel about granting a waiver on the as-built for this deck and roof? Sorry, Nancy, you having trouble hearing?
Darren, can't hear you, Nance.
Yeah, I'm just trying to listen a little harder. It's just noisy here. We're having a kind of windstorm.
Oh, okay. Did you catch what we were talking about in terms of the as-built?
Yes, kind of, mostly.
Okay,
Let me explain it for her.
No.
no, it's
Are
okay.
you in favor of granting a waiver for the as-built on this porch and roof?
I guess
Well,
so.
yeah, I mean, it's showing the setback is the waiver part of it, and I had thought it would be in an as-built. So it's the lack of showing a setback, which is in our little minor site plan review, but we can waive it if the board wants to do that.
Dave, I see you busily writing there. I don't know whether you're writing up parking tickets or something you want to talk to us about.
No, I'm good. Looking at there's nothing really structural other than, as part of the building permit process, it's my job to check the lot line just to make sure it's in compliance. Off the top, it does look like it's in compliance. And that will be something that I will check. Typically with an as-built, I'm really, you're really looking at, water, utilities, that sort of thing. And this project doesn't include that,
Okay,
just for your consideration.
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other comments on this?
I have no problem. I mean, it clearly
Okay.
meets the setback requirements, so I don't have a problem.
All right. Now that time's lapsed, any input from the public? One way or another? Nothing? All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
unclear to me why, what the actual motion will be for approval with or without windows as a condition.
Without windows, that
windows.
it's going to be a screened in, that the places that are marked as windows on here or built for windows would be filled
And
with
what
screens.
The board's reasoning for that?
Well, it's not to stop the owner from being able to do this, but it's just because once the windows are in, it becomes permanent seating. And that would be just something to let the neighbors know and butters know about. I don't think there's any intention to stop it, just to notify people.
There also, as I understand it, and listening to Craig, at this juncture, there is no intent and or desire to put windows in. And that's today. Now, at some time in the future, should Craig or some future owner decide that they would like to do that, they can come back here and request that that be removed.
On what basis?
On basis that they can come back and ask, you can always come back and ask. Right? There's nothing to stop someone from coming back and saying, I want to do this because I'm not going to know what because is. I'm not running that show. But whoever it is that would want to do it would present that because, and Mark will make a decision.
Mark?
Yeah,
No, I will not. So what I'm hearing the board say then is that you are approving this with screens, considering it as a minor site plan, but that the addition of windows will be considered a change of use
No.
because it will be permanent. And you want him to come back or future owner to come back. And that the windows cannot be added simply by doing a building permit. That's what I'm hearing.
That is what I'm saying.
Okay,
Okay, you wanna, it's
So-
correct.
that I think should be what the motion of approval is.
Yes,
So that it's very clear in the record that, and it's very clear for code enforcement, if it's not Dave, if it's somebody who's not even here tonight
right.
in the future, that the addition of windows will take another application, whether it's minor again, or whether it's full-blown site plan review, that's for a future board to decide.
Right.
But this board is saying that their intent is that it would not be just a building permit to add windows,
Correct.
is what I'm hearing you say.
That's what I'm saying. Is the
Yeah.
rest of the board in
That is
agreement
what
with
I'm saying.
this?
as well.
Agreed.
basis that it would be a change of
Nancy.
use.
On the basis that it would be
I don't wanna
some,
use
it would be a permanent and a change of use from what is just a covered porch at this time to a permanent part of the structure.
Dining
Okay,
area,
dining area.
right.
I'm willing to have a condition of no Ferris wheels and no windows. I know, but I don't want to put on use that language, change of use.
Can you
That's
suggest?
a little bit
But
murky.
it's just the, it's just,
No, it is.
yeah, it,
Yeah, no,
It
it
isn't
definitely
just
is.
It's not just, if you would like to propose, because this, the language that Mark just indicated is kind of the language right out of our book.
No. This is a golf course. It fits the criteria of the residential zoning bylaws.
the,
So it's not a change of use. Windows or Ferris wheel do not change the use. I would have no problem doing a condition that if we ever or foreseason to come back to the planning board, I'd be happy with that.
okay,
You know, put so that any building inspector forward can easily see the special permit that you're giving us. Or site plan review here, that the intent was not to put windows in. Even though I specifically say I don't want windows.
okay.
So I'm saying, but the language to me can be very. Because the use. Expect ever, whether you put in 100 windows or 2 windows or no windows.
In my mind, change of use means it goes from being seasonal to
Yes,
permanent.
well,
And
if you want to
that's-
use the word seasonal, I like that better.
Okay,
All right, I don't like the change of use because
so
that is a
say
legal term.
change it from seasonal to
It's
permanent.
a change
It
of
would still
use
be
is a very
changed.
much a legal term.
Okay,
It's like going from a golf course to a gas station.
Fine.
That's a change of use.
duly noted.
All right,
Yep, duly noted.
all right, but I would
Okay.
like to, you can put any language you want about the windows not being in there, all you
I
want.
hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
The only thing about the change of use is with changing a golf clubhouse. And we talked about this at the last meeting when you decided to do this as a minor site plan review. That we all agreed that if that ever were to be permanent, that it would be changing the nature of that building to a restaurant
no,
rather than a golf clubhouse.
Well,
And
restaurants are not
wait,
allowed in
Craig, you
recreational
got-
zone.
Craig, just let us talk.
They're not allowed.
Right, but that's,
And as an accessory use to the golf course, and who knows what the zoning will be in the future.
Well, you
Right.
don't know either.
I think-
No, I'm not saying that I do. I'm just saying that it is important because you talked about
yeah,
changing the nature of that building, and Craig was very clear that he was gonna have the golf clubhouse there. And in the summertime, he was gonna put the retail back in. I mean, that's all
Oh,
part of the
absolutely.
conversation
But
that you had last.
In my mind, and talking about, I think we're talking two different things here. This porch being closed in as a
Mhm.
permanent additional seating area would change it from a seasonal to a permanent use.
Okay,
I think it would also be a trigger if the entire building were to become just a restaurant and not a golf clubhouse. That would be an overall change of use.
I don't think, yeah, they
I-
can't do that.
maybe under
But-
our current regulations, they can't.
So there's
Right today.
kind of, I think,
Well,
two
you know,
branches.
I
off
merged
of
those
this.
lots. I was one that
Yeah.
merged those lots.
Yeah,
So
we
it
understand that.
used to be
Yeah,
a
it
separate
used to be
lot.
Yeah.
So-
commercial.
I don't want to put in things,
No, I get
Well,
what
we're
you're
not-
saying.
yeah,
We're not
we're not
trying
trying
to
to-
stop. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
If you're comfortable that the permanent versus temporary use change will trigger the further application.
I think it should. Would that make it clear for you, Dave, or any potential future person looking at building
It
permits?
has to specifically say windows aren't allowed. Somehow.
that's fine.
I mean, that,
Can you hear- I don't know if you
that is the key.
Wait, I'm
The
sorry.
rest of it is further.
I'm trying to,
That I'm not proposing it. That's one basis.
I'm just trying to see, double check with Dave. I couldn't hear if you replied, Dave, if that would be sufficient.
Yes, that's helpful for me, knowing in the future that if it's going to materially change to a full-time year-round business restaurant, then what the planning board requires from that point would consider, whether that at that point it considers it a change of use.
Okay.
And what it doesn't. So whatever you're proposing that should be that would trigger that change is very helpful for me.
Okay. Because I suppose in addition to windows, it could be if it's, everything's boarded in and insulated,
Yeah, sure.
that would change it as well. So perhaps the use of windows as a word is too narrow. Okay. So if there aren't any other comments from the public, I will, last chance for anyone? No? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any further deliberations for the board?
You need a motion?
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be fascinating.
I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
Okay. I move that this plan for the alterations as proposed be accepted under the condition that the approval is subject to the absence of windows.
How about absence of permanent year-round use?
Well, but that they could still put in windows. I want the word windows in there.
Windows or other,
Windows are
Other-
other items that would change it from seasonal to year-round use. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay,
okay, you got that, Steve? The recording's got it. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Mike Capel, aye.
Wendy Rathgeber, aye.
John Racine, aye.
Bill Spence, aye.
Nancy Knight, aye.
Okay, then I guess we are concluded with this. Were there any other issues that, so we'll close this.
Were any other
public hearing
issues
completely?
from the people
Thank you,
online?
Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
So anything else for this meeting before we
See if there's
adjourn the
any-
meeting?
I mean, there are people out there, see if there's anything else they want
Well, that's why I'm putting it out there. If there are any other issues for this meeting to be brought forth? No?
No.
Okay,
I mean,
so I entertain a motion
yeah,
to adjourn.
so, no. we're-
You're gonna join us, Rich?
Well, yes, I think you need that.
Yes,
to. You're back.
I am back.
okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn? No one really wants to leave yet?
I move to, then we adjourn this special meeting.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Mike Capella,
Rich, I.
Wendy, I.
John, I.
Bill, I.
Nancy, I.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,